And this one is a competitive roll and write. And the way this game works is that each round you're going to be rolling 4 dice, with one of those die being only accessible to the active player. But each of the players will be able to choose 2 of the dice available to them to write down onto their own personal player sheet. And there's going to be 2 different sheets that players are managing. The first one is a map with different city locations that players are trying to visit in order to win the game. And then there's your main sheet that's broken into a whole bunch of different areas with spaces to write down the number of the die values that you chose. And each of these is going to allow you to move through different terrain out on the map, but they also all behave a little bit differently. One of these locations might always require you to put a die value that was larger or lower than the value before it, while other locations might require you to roll doubles or to put values in a grid following a certain pattern. But a really neat aspect that affects every area on this board is that there's going to be some spaces that are associated with a diamond, and whichever value you put into that is going to grant you that amount of victory points. So you'll always want to try and put the highest value as possible in those boxes, but it might be difficult depending on the pattern that you're trying to fulfill in that specific area. And alternatively, some of the spaces are associated with monsters, and the value that you put into those boxes is actually going to lose you victory points. And I mentioned that the main purpose of the map is to visit the different locations, and the more that you visit, the more victory points you'll gain. But there's also different icons scattered throughout the map that can gain you special abilities and actions in order to mitigate those cases where you lose victory points or augment those cases where you can gain them. And of course, the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins the game.